Friends, in this gut-wrenching tale of a young boy, the sins of a mother see the light of day. You see, back in February 2020, a heartbreaking tragedy unfolded when an 11-year-old Gannons Stauch went missing from his Colorado home. His stepmother, Letecia Stauch, reported him as a runaway, but the investigation soon turned dark. As the case unraveled, disturbing details emerged, including Letecia's strange behavior and the discovery of Gannon's remains over 1,000 miles away. What led the murder of a young boy, and what secrets did Letecia hide? In this video, we'll take a closer look at the Letecia Stauch murder case and uncover the shocking truth behind an innocent loss of life. My name is Cameron, this is True Red Crime Extra. Let's get into it. By the way, at the time of this recording, the trial is still ongoing, so forgive me if information comes to light that I've missed. All seemed well in Colorado, but signs of trouble were lurking beneath the surface. The Stauch family appeared to be a regular family living in quiet Colorado Springs. Al and Letecia Stauch got married in 2018 after meeting on a dating website. Al was a National Guardsman who had previously been married and had 2 children. Their names were Ganon and Lena, while Letecia was a former Air Force member and nurse with a young daughter named Holly. At first, the marriage seemed to be going well, but of course we know that nothing is ever what it seems. You see, once the honeymoon phase was gone, the family came crashing down. And like as every fairy tale goes, not every stepmother is good in the face of evil. Neighbors reported hearing arguments, seeing Letecia being overly strict with Ganon, including making him do chores that were not age appropriate. The overbearing mother also maintained a strict control over Ganon's social media accounts, with sub-neighbors reporting that she was obsessed with presenting a perfect image of her family online. However, Letecia's relationship with Gannon's biological mother, Landon Hiot, was also strained. I'm pretty sure I butchered that name, but I cannot imagine that Letecia would have ever been happy with Landon in the first place. I mean, think about it, your husband's ex is going to be around forever because of the children. Maybe she just hated the fact that the ex was around. Hot had previously accused Letecia of lying about Gannon's well-being and making up some crafty rumors against her. In addition to the tension in the family, Letecia's behavior became increasingly erratic in the month leading up to Gannon's disappearance. She was fired from her job as a nurse, and there were reports of financial troubles. Some neighbors reported that she was often seen pacing outside her house and acting strangely. Yep, that goes an entire checklist of a budding person that cannot cope up with employment issues only at the expense of a little boy. All of these details would soon come to the forefront when Ganon went missing and the investigation into his disappearance began. Gannons Stauch was a young boy who had captured the hearts of his family and friends. He was born on September the 29th, 2008 in South Carolina to his parents Albert Stauch and Landon Hott. Ganon was a miracle baby who was born more than 3 months premature, weighing only 1 pound and 6 ounces. Wow, that's very light. But despite the odds, he survived and thrived. His parents were amazed at his strength and resilience. As Ganon grew up, he showed remarkable intelligence and talent. He participated in gifted and talented programs at school and excelled in his studies. Physically, he was also above average for his age. Now, this might be a bit of a stretch, but earlier I mentioned how Letecia did not like the fact that her husband ex was always around because of the children, right? She's attached to the husband, by that nature. Maybe she thought, I hate this kid even more because he happened to be a genius. But he was Landon's kid, not her kid. And maybe she hated the fact that she was able to produce a child so wonderful. It might be a stretch, but do you understand what I'm trying to say? Maybe this played a part in jealousy, which is kind of stupid. Why you would ever be jealous of a child as an adult is so dumb. Gannon's younger sister, Lena, idolized him and called him Bubba. His family and loved ones called him G-Man, as he was their superhero. You see, my family, they call me F-Man, because I'm a fraud. When his parents split up, he and his sister shared custody between them. Landon stayed in South Carolina while Albert moved with the kids for his National Guard duty. The family moved around frequently due to Albert's military career, including a stint in Alaska before finally settling in Colorado Springs. Despite the family's many moves, Gannon made many friends and was loved by everyone who knew him. He loved tacos, video games, and the color blue. Not gonna lie, me and Gannon could have been best friends. Gannon spent a lot of time with his father, building Lego tables and playing video games. Unfortunately, however, on January the 27th, 2020, Gannon's life was tragically cut short. His disappearance shook the community, and a massive search effort was launched to find him. Tragically, his remains were found in Florida several weeks later. The discovery of his body brought the community to tears and left them heartbroken. And despite the tragic end to his young life, Gannon will always be remembered for his strength, intelligence, and kind heart. Again, maybe that's why she was so jealous. Now, in this heart-wrenching tale of a boy gone too soon, there's a villain that doesn't come off as surprise at all. Remember the fairy tale I mentioned earlier? Most of the time, betrayal and brutality comes from home. Letecia Stauch, also known as Tisha or T, was born on August 4th, 1983. She received a doctorate in education from Liberty University, a Christian college in Lynchburg, Virginia. Now, I'll be honest, I live in Northern Virginia. Lynchburg, Virginia? What a dump. Before marrying Albert Stauch in 2015, Letecia had a history of run-ins with the law, including domestic violence, battery, and theft charges. She even had her teaching certificate suspended in North Carolina, where she worked as a teacher, and was found in breach of contract in South Carolina, where she lost her certification. This has got to be the first red flag into her personality. But Letecia did not stop there. After moving to Colorado in 2018, she listed herself as a curriculum developer for District 49 in Colorado Springs on her LinkedIn and Facebook profiles. Yet the district officials later stated they had no record of Letecia Stauch as an employee at any time. At this point, we're all wondering the same thing. How did a troubled woman like Letecia manage to marry a man like Albert? Well, you know what they say sometimes, love is blind. Only this time, it turned into a murderous affair. To elaborate, they say, love can blind the sharpest of minds. Sometimes we look, but we don't want to see. But when that love is gone, when all those emotions are stripped away, you see that person for who they really are. Maybe that's what Albert is experiencing right now. Letecia worked as a teacher at French Elementary School in Colorado Springs for one semester before the school terminated her. Before Gannon's murder, she even went through a 3-day orientation to work as a teacher at Mountain Ridge Middle School, but they rescinded her employment offer. Letecia Stauch's social and mental issues were apparent, but at the time of Gannon's murder, she had lived with him as stepmother for over 4 years. So when she first called 911 at 6:15 on January the 27th, 2020, investigators had no reason to suspect her guilt. But within 24 hours of the first 911 call, Letecia's story started to unravel. She initially told detectives that Gannon had walked to her friend's house at 3:15 but did not return. When pressed on simple details about the friend's name, address, and phone number, Letecia could not muster a response. Things after that escalated. Letecia then changed her story, claimed a neighborhood construction worker named Eduardo had broken into her house, assaulted her, and kidnapped Gannon. What a moron, just making it up as she goes along. But then she refused an assault kit and just a moment afterwards changed her story yet again. She said she was watching Ganon ride his bike when he fell off and hit his head. 2 men came out of nowhere and kidnapped him. This reminds me of the saying, truth is stranger than fiction. And in the case of Letecia Stauch, that couldn't be more true. Her story was full of holes, and her intentions were nothing but evil. In the following days, when she realized that she is now a person of interest in Gannon's case, she fled to South Carolina. But of course, this isn't some top-notch story of organized crimes or cartels. As evil as Letecia was, she wasn't so smart in hiding her heinous crimes. In other words, she was a fucking idiot. And hidden cameras moved her from the suspect list to the definite murderer. The same day Gannon went missing, he was last seen alive on a neighbor's CCTV camera. This was at 10:29 a.m. Later in the evening, Letecia was seen dragging a green suitcase to her car and driving off. She came back after a few hours, but both times Gannon was not with her. She called the police at 6 p.m. and told the El Paso Sheriff County that Gannon had left at 3:15 p.m. to go to a friend's house and had not returned for hours. 3 days after his disappearance, the FBI classified his case as a missing endangered persons, and authorities urged people to share any information they had. In order to locate Gannon, the FBI teamed up with the Sheriff's Office, Colorado Springs Police Department, and El Paso County Search and Rescue. Nearby ponds and mountainous areas were scoured by over 300 community volunteers for Gannon. At the Grand Mountain School, where he was a 5th grader, both students and teachers wore Gannon's favorite color, blue. To aid Gannon in finding his way home, residents of southeast Colorado Springs also turned their outside lights to blue. They all wanted him to return home safe. Letecia herself took to social media in releasing a statement on how afraid she was for Gannon's safety and just wanted her son to come back home. As appealing as she made her case to the public as a worried mother, everyone bought her sobbing story until the truth came into light. On March the 2nd, Letecia drives off to South Carolina, where she is arrested and charged for the first-degree murder of her stepson. But in the pursuit of justice, Gannon's remains, the murder weapon, and a clear motive was largely missing. Yet the stepmother wasn't escaping the scrutiny. On March the 18th, 2020, state construction workers discovered the stabbed and shot body of a tiny kid packed in a suitcase in Pace, Florida. The remains were located 1,400 miles from the Stauch residence, yet the authorities were able to identify them because of Gannon's dental record. Letecia was detained by detectives as a result of strong and damning evidence. So what exactly happened to Gannon? You see, on January the 27th, Letecia called Gannon's school to let them know that he won't be attending classes today as he had a tummy ache. Gannon was a happy kid and always looked for the silver lining in situations, so when he found out that he was staying at home, he became excited to spend time with his mother. Little did he know that she had other plans. While he was in his bed early in the morning, Letecia charged towards him and tried to throttle him on his bed. She took a knife out of her back pocket and inserted it into his body 18 times. And you gotta ask the question, why not 5? Why not 4? Why not 12? Why 18? I don't think in her mind she was thinking I need to do 18 specifically. I think she inserted it and inserted it and inserted it because as each incision was going in, she's thinking of whatever it was that was pissing her off. It can't have been the kid. There's nothing he could have done to make her this mad. Either she was unhappy in life, she hated her husband, or she hated her husband's ex-wife. Either way, she's thinking of that during each incision. That would be my inference anyway. Throughout this time, Gannon tried to claw his way out of her grip and ended up having bruises all over his arms and legs. He was fighting for his life. He received a crushing blow to the head that was so powerful that it broke his skull. She then pulled out a 9mm handgun and shot Gannon 3 times with it. Nearby, 2 bullets struck a cushion. 3rd struck his jaw, lodged in the back of his head after passing through his head, breaking his jaw vertebrae and spinal cord. He tested positive for the opiate hydrocodone and had paracetamol in his system, according to toxicology reports. After that, she stuffed little Gannon's body in a suitcase and loaded it into her truck after killing him in his own bedroom. After spending several hours driving around with his body, she transferred it to a Volkswagen Tiguan. She discarded the bag containing Gannon's remains after driving the Tiguan carrying his body to a remote location in El Paso County, Colorado. The body was discovered on March 18, 2020, approximately 2 months after his disappearance. Letecia's web of lies began to unravel as investigators delved deeper into her internet search history. Because if a person is lying, their internet search history does not. The results revealed a woman consumed by jealousy and resentment towards her stepchildren, particularly Gannon. Her search for an apartment in Florida, just miles away from where Gannon's body was later found, raised suspicions that she had planned his murder well in advance. The evidence against Letecia continued to pile up as detectives found traces of Gannon's blood. This led police to believe that she first dumped Gannon's body there before moving it to its final resting place in Florida. But it was the blood-soaked carpet in his bedroom that truly painted a gruesome picture of what had happened to this innocent boy. The walls were splattered with blood, and the concrete floor underneath the carpet was stained with the evidence of his brutal murder. As Letecia's lies unraveled, the truth behind her heinous crimes was exposed. The text message she sent to her daughter asking her to buy carpet cleaning supplies, trash bags, and baking soda, as well as her attempts to purchase a fake polygraph test, were damning evidence against her. With each piece of evidence, the case against Letecia grew stronger, leading to her eventual arrest. Letecia's journey from South Carolina to Colorado was far from uneventful. During the long trip, she managed to slip out of her handcuffs and attacked a sheriff's deputy in Texas, causing the deputy to be treated overnight in the hospital. While awaiting trial, Letecia has been anything but idle. She penned a letter to the judge in charge of her case, alleging mistreatment and abuse while in jail. Well, yeah, look at what you done, you muppet. Then in June 2020, a jailhouse informant disclosed her plan to escape from the El Paso County Jail. Her lawyers pushed for 2 mental competency evaluations, both of which Letecia passed with flying colors. In February 21, Letecia made a bold move and requested to represent herself in court, citing an ace in the hole. Despite the judge warning about her potential drawbacks of self-representation, he ultimately agreed to this request, and her behavior during her trial has been nothing short of bizarre. She's been caught on camera flipping off witnesses and showing no remorse for the horrific crime she is accused of committing. Her defense lawyers, however, have pleaded not guilty and claimed that Letecia's strange behavior is the result of childhood traumas and assaults by her mother's numerous boyfriends. And when I heard this, when I figured out this is what the defense is trying to do, fuck off. Give me a break. Numerous boyfriends? Childhood trauma? Shut up, bruv. The very same pile of excuses that does everything other than justifying their motive. Her lawyers argue that Letecia was not in her right mind when she allegedly killed Ganon and that she was simply trying to escape her demons. Being stupid is not a demon. On the other hand, the prosecution has presented evidence suggesting that she was unhappy in her marriage and harbored resentment towards Ganon's family. This to me makes a lot more sense. They presented her daughter Harley as a witness who testified about her mother's manipulative behavior towards her. Harley recalled a car ride with Letecia during the day of Gannon's disappearance while he was in the suitcase in the back seat. Imagine that. Imagine being in a car and out of nowhere, there's a body in the trunk. When she inquired about the suitcase, Letecia brushed it off, saying there was some stuff in it. Harley also revealed that her mother had lied to her about her father's cause of death, telling her it was a robbery when in reality he died of a drug overdose. Despite the defense's claims, the prosecution's evidence paints a very different picture of Letecia's motives. Her actions suggest premeditation and malice towards Ganon rather than an attempt to escape her own past traumas. As the trial continues, the jury must grapple with the conflicting testimonies and decide the fate of this troubled and enigmatic woman. In memory of Ganon, several Facebook pages have been dedicated to him, keeping his memory alive. Gone, yet not forgotten. Although we are apart, your spirit lives within us forever and in our hearts. So, to conclude on this story, I want to go back to her employment situation. She went from job after job after job. She got fired and fired and fired. She had job offers and those offers were rescinded. You know what's crazy? Between 2010 and I would say up until COVID, 2019, for 9 years, I went from job to job to job every 2 years, going to different jobs. Either I was let go, I got fired, laid off, whatever. Either way, I went from job to job to job, and I realized it's because I'm a lazy bastard. Of course, I can't relate to Letecia in any way, but when someone is continuously fired from their job, it's simply because they don't want it. She did not want this family. She did not want the responsibility of raising these children. Trauma or no trauma, as I mentioned, she's a muppet. Now, she'll probably go to jail for the rest of her life, and as I said, that trial is still ongoing. But bro, if you've got issues, go and tell your husband. And if your husband doesn't care, if he says to you, well, like, what do you want me to do? Then just leave. Leave. I know it's hard leaving children you may have made a bond with, but that's surely better than what you did. Imagine that decision making. I'm unhappy. I hate these kids. Instead of leaving, instead of talking to the kids, instead of trying to fix it, oh, I know what I'll do. I'll murder him. There's no mental illness here, just fucking dumb shit. Anyway, comment, tell me what you think.